Hey YouTube, welcome back to Segway Addict. This is my second video on the channel. My first video a few months back was Green Day Discography ranking from worst to best. I'm not super proud of that video, even though Green Day is still obviously my favorite band. The quality wasn't great. I was using my laptop camera. Anyway, this video I'm using my phone camera. It's much better quality, and I'm probably going to stick with that until perhaps I get more of a following and things get more serious. Anyway, so this video, my second video on this channel, is my Linkin Park discography ranking. This is my second favorite band. You can see through the shirt. Anyway, let's just get to it. The worst Linkin Park album, in my opinion, most people would probably agree with me, was their final album in 2017, shortly before Chester Bennington's death, is One More Light. There's quite a bit to say about this album. It's very complicated. A lot of criticism when the album came out. A lot of it for good reason. It's kind of a pop rock. It's very radio friendly, very overproduced, you could say. However, it's complicated to say, but I feel like the album is there's still a lot of quality to the album. I think everything that the members of Linkin Park, everything they go into the studio to make is they put their heart and soul into, and this album, One More Light, is no exception. Regardless, it is still there. Anyway, there are some great songs on here. The title track, One More Light, is the first thing that comes to mind. It's still a heartbreaking song. It's just Chester Bennington wrote it about Chris Cornell's death, which was, I believe, just a few months before the album released, and it's just a tragic song about suicide, about just losing a loved one, and it hits me in the feels every time. Anyway, that's definitely the best song of the album, but there's some other great songs on here. I think Nobody Can Save Me is a good opener, albeit a little safe sounding, I suppose. Talking to Myself is a good rock song. It could fit well in Living Things. Electronic pop rock song. There's Halfway Right's I think well written, and it's catchy, and there's just like from start to finish, the album for the most part is pretty enjoyable, but it just doesn't, it feels like an identity crisis. It doesn't feel like Linkin Park, and there's just some problems there, but the writing is still pretty decent. The heart is still there. I just wish this wasn't their last album. Anyway, One More Light goes down as my least favorite Linkin Park album, and it's by a long shot. Anyway, I would still give it a strong 7 out of 10. All right, coming in at number 6, we have Linkin Park's 5th album, Living Things, from 2012. This album kind of was a continuation off of their previous album's more electronic focused sound, albeit a lot more commercialized. This is quite a poppy album, like probably their second poppiest album, second to One More Light. But it's still very enjoyable. There's a lot of really good production on this thing. There's like just some decent return to the kind of chemistry that Mike Shinoda and Chester Bennington had on their previous albums. There's some decent rapping and decent riffs and everything, and it's a pretty great album. Like, there's just a couple songs on there that I don't see a ton of special, I don't feel very attached to, like In My Remains or I'll Be Gone is quite repetitive, but for the most part, most of the songs are pretty great, especially Roads Untraveled is quite a highlight. Very creative in terms of its beat, and just kind of the feel of it is very haunting, and it's a really beautiful song. Anyway, it's still pretty great album. I would still give this like a strong 8.5 out of 10, 8.5. All right, coming in at 5th, at number 5, is Linkin Park's 6th album, Hunting Party. Now you can kind of see a trend here. Their 2010s output, for the most part, I'll get to that. There's a little retraction there. There's an exception, but for the most part, they did decrease in quality quite a bit in the 2010s. But this, however, was quite a comeback. It is weird. It's such a strange album. Like Hunting Party from 2014. This is like almost a punk album. It's very, very, very heavy. It's like arguably the heaviest Linkin Park album, although it's just a different kind of heavy compared to their first two new metal albums. But it's a lot more raw sounding. There's a lot of angst. There's a lot of that I think there was just some pent up anger after Living Things that the band felt like they needed to unleash, and well, they really did it. It's a really great execution in that sense. There's just like some bangers here. I mean, Guilty All the Same with Rakim, weirdly enough, that was a good combo. It's just that song is so amazing, and yet the closer, A Line in the Sand, is like in my top 10 favorite Linkin Park songs. It is so amazing. There's just the true return to just the screaming Chester Bennington that just like, it just hits you hard, right? Like, this is a banger, start to finish. Like, this is like the third worst Linkin Park album, and yet it's still, I would say, a strong 9 out of 10. All right. Next we got, I have a lot of mixed feelings about this album, but coming in at number 4, we have Linkin Park's third album, Minutes to Midnight. This album was kind of a big jump in Linkin Park's creative sound. There is like this, there's this more commercial sound that they kind of brought out. This is like not really a metal album as compared to their hiatus. So they basically took Meteora in 2003, was an improved sound from Hybrid Theory, and I'll talk more about that in a minute. But after their 4-year hiatus after Meteora, they made this album, and there is just a lot of there's a lot of new sounds that they really experiment with in this album. There's songs like, Leave Out All the Rest, songs like Valentine's Day, or especially In Pieces and The Little Things Give You Away. The final 2 songs on this album are so amazing, and especially the closer, Little Things Give You Away. It's just this sweeping ballad of just all these different sounds coming into play over and over and over again. It kind of reminds me of the Green Day song Restless Heart Syndrome from 21st Century Breakdown. This is just like just all these instruments coming together over time and just building up and finally unleashing. And it's just cathartic. It's a cathartic song. And this album came out in 2007, so there's a lot of recurring themes of like war protesting, and a lot of similar but very special themes and well executed themes that connected to the Bush administration and just everything going on in the Middle East. And it's not a concept album, but there are some really great concepts used in this album, and the lyrics are great. The emotion is high. Some people call this like a sellout album for Linkin Park because it's not metal, and they softened their sound, made it more accessible, I suppose. But start to finish, I just pretty much love all these songs. I mean, the only ones I don't love, No More Sorrow. It's kind of a basic rock song, although the riffs are really good. The only song on this album that I do not like is In Between, the third to last song on this album, right before we get into the 2 best songs on the album. But In Between is just this weird experimental kind of I don't know, almost ballad that Mike Shinoda tries to pull off, and it's one of his early examples of trying to sing. And even though I do really like Mike Shinoda's voice, this was not one of those examples. He just I don't know, nothing pulls off very special there. It just is very bland. But every other song is amazing. Given Up, that like 15-second scream after that second chorus, that bridge. Wow, that scream that Chester does is just a feat to behold. He's still my favorite front man. He's my favorite singer of all time. Like, there's no competing with Chester. But anyway, this album, I give this a strong 9.5 out of 10. This is a great album. I don't know what to say, but anyway, that's number 4. Coming in at number 3, this might come to a surprise to a lot of you, but Linkin Park's debut, Hybrid Theory. This is a flawless album. Don't get me wrong. This album, start to finish, every song, amazing. But there you can definitely tell that, like, especially compared to some of their later output, it's a bit more two-dimensional in terms of just like the same themes recurring. They don't experiment a ton with the sounds, although this is, again, this, like, I'm nitpicking at this point. Like, it's just like, yeah, I'm nitpicking at this point. This is a flawless album. This is a 10 out of 10 album. I don't know what to say. Like, what hasn't already been said, this album is popular for a reason. It is groundbreaking in 2000, and it's groundbreaking now. And just amazing, like, Paper Cut, amazing opener. It's a perfect execution of just like presenting to the world what Linkin Park is, with Mike Shinoda and Chester Bennington playing off of each other, the singing and the rapping and the great beats and the great riffs, and just like the pure raw energy and angst that flows start to finish in this thing. Crawling is just still like probably my second favorite song on the album. Is iconic. Just that chorus is just soul crushing and just bleeds angst. My Points of Authority, probably one of my favorite riffs in Linkin Park's entire discography. It is just it's a banger. What can I say? But my favorite song of this album, without a doubt, is A Place for My Head. That song is so underrated. It's a hidden gem. In the Linkin Park community, it is recognized as that, so I guess it's not exactly underrated in the community, in the fandom, but I believe it's a Spanish guitar. I don't know for sure, but it sounds like a Spanish guitar to me. It does that riff, and it's just an amazing riff. And just the energy, the chorus, the Mike Shinoda's bars in this song, A Place for My Head, is just probably my favorite bar, like my favorite rapping that Mike Shinoda has ever done. It is just amazing, so much fun to rap along to sing and get those lyrics down. Like, it's just it's probably my second favorite Linkin Park song, honestly. Anyway, start to finish, album is amazing. Hybrid Theory. What can I say? 10 out of 10. All right. Now, this is very controversial, but my second favorite Linkin Park album is their 2010 concept album, A Thousand Suns. This album is one of the most cathartic and just like eclectic sounding albums I've ever heard. It is, there's so many interludes in this thing that flow together. There's so many segues. I mean, why do I call myself a segue addict? It's just I just love transitions like that. I love it when an album flows so fluently and songs complement each other in their sound and mood. And this album was just like a huge experiment. It's like there's a pattern I've noticed in Linkin Park's discography after their first 2 albums, after their new metal sound that they stuck with for 2 albums. Every single album after that has been a pattern of a more commercial, crowd-pleasing sound, experimental, commercial, experimental, commercial. And that combo worked really well for them in terms of making more and more hits, as well as like pleasing their hardcore fans, and just kind of like having artistic statements, having something to say all the time. And this was definitely their biggest statement ever in their career. It's kind of a concept album with recurring themes of nuclear warfare, of just death, of destruction, of just a kind of loss in a society's purpose. It's just a very, very deep album. Uses a lot of the interludes, uses a lot of speech from politicians or public figures. MLK is in a lot of the interludes here. I think Wisdom, Justice, and Love is part of a speech, one of his speeches. It's just like a lot of really, really great care has been put into this album, and every song, like even though without all excluding all the interludes, which are really great and are really add and flow into the album really well. There's just a lot in this thing. Like just every song, Burning the Sky is a beautiful song. When They Come For Me, I love the beat. I love the Middle Eastern drumming styles to it. It's just like, it's so rich in sound. Robot Boy, like this amazing song, almost on just like kind of like sticking up for yourself and like feeling like you need to find your own purpose in life is what I take from it. And it's just a really deep song, and it's really beautiful. Waiting for the End is my favorite Linkin Park song of all time, and it's in my top 5 favorite songs of all time. This song is so perfect from start to finish. It's like, I love Chester Bennington's flowing, like soaring vocals, and it's so beautiful. And Mike Shinoda still has some rapping, but also like this different sound to his cadence in this song, and just the beat, the electronic sounds displayed by Joe Hahn, just like so much to the song, and it always gets me. It's such an amazing song. Waiting for the End is so underrated. Everybody needs to hear it in their life, in my opinion. Anyway, Blackout, phenomenal, great beat. Wretches and Kings, more amazing rapping. I love the back and forth. I kind of picture Mike Shinoda as this dictator, this power greedy dictator, power hungry, and Chester Bennington is like this rebel, this angsty rebel, and they just kind of fight in this song. They clash, and like Chester's just protesting in the chorus, and Mike Shinoda's like kind of banter in the verses, and it's just like it's such a great song. Iridescent, this beautiful piano ballad that just like builds up and just finally just blows up in your face. It's just so beautiful and inspiring. And then the finale, the catalyst, is kind of the climax of the album. It's just like this, every band member is chanting, "God bless us everyone, we're a broken people living under a loaded gun." Like, it's just such a great chant, such a great like encore, and it's just one of the best Linkin Park songs, honestly. Messenger is this amazing like kind of epilogue, closer, acoustic. It's beautiful. Chester's just pouring his heart out in his voice. It's just like, it's exactly what you want from like an acoustic Linkin Park song. It's kind of the gold standard on that point. Anyway, enough to say about this album. It's so underrated. It's like, whatever you think about Linkin Park, if you haven't heard this album, that will change your mind on the band. 10 out of 10, one of my favorite albums of all time. All right, and here we go. It's a lot of people's favorite, and it's my favorite too. Linkin Park's sophomore effort, Meteora. This album is flawless from start to finish. It takes the sound, the nu metal sound that Linkin Park established so well in Hybrid Theory, and just slightly tweaks it, slightly builds upon it, and just kind of refines that sound. And that's kind of really the only time they did that in their career. After this album, they just experimented in some way every single album. And this is like how you improve a sound without remaking it. This is like the gold standard in my eyes. This album is like, this is like, at the time of this recording, this is my 5th favorite album of all time. This is just, from the start, from that forward intro, the really quick beat speeding up into that window breaking, and just segueing right into Don't Stay, this like angsty, this heavy, just banger. I don't know how else to describe it. It's just an amazing opener. Somewhere I Belong, it's an iconic, huge single from 2003. It's just like such a great, well-rounded song. I love the bridges, or not the bridges, but the verses, and how they just kind of flow into each other, into the chorus, and it's just a really great beat. Lying From You, one of the best on this thing. It's just that amazing electronic sound. That's something I notice about this album, is that there's a lot of, on several of the songs on this thing, is these really cool, just really epic sounding electronic beats that they just kind of intertwine into the drumming and just like the other aspects of percussion into the songs. And Lying From You is such a fun example of that. It's like, it's just, I can't even describe it. It's just such a cool sound, and just the rapping is just like gold standard Mike Shinoda. I don't know what to say. It's just an amazing song. Hit the Floor, it's a great song. Definitely, probably, honestly, the worst song on this album, and it's still, I love it. I love the kind of more classic, almost 90s style like rap beat to the song, and yet it still intertwines well with new metal. Faint, it's like one of the greatest Linkin Park songs. It's just such a banger. It's like, it should have been bigger than it was. It's already a big song, but like it should have been, I think it should have been Linkin Park's In the End, which is also obviously a great song from Hybrid Theory. Anyway, another one of those really unique Meteora exclusive sounding electronic beats that used like that, almost the strings sounding, the kind of symphonic intro there with the strings to Faint. Figure 09, banger. I love the beat. Breaking the Habit, best song on this thing. I mean, what can I say? It's just this emotional, this tragic tale of kind of describing a suicide in reverse. And the music video, the animated music video, by, I believe it was an anime creator. I can't remember the name, but anyway, the animated music video is phenomenal. But it pictures this perfectly. It kind of displays what I'm describing here. It's just it shows a suicide in reverse, and it's so fascinating. And it's just a heartbreaking song. Just one of the most cathartic and one of the most, like, I guess, surreal moments in Linkin Park's discography. And it's the beat, the electronic sound to it is so unique. I've never heard anything like it. Breaking the Habit is like probably my third favorite Linkin Park song. Anyway, From the Inside, banger. Nobody Was Listening, such a unique beat. I love I think it's the flute that's used for that beat. It's amazing. Session, just another one of those Johan moments, just like Cure for the Itch for the first album. It's fun, I really like it. And then Numb, the closer, the iconic song. I don't know how else to describe it. It's a banger. It's just this, I've become so numb. It's so angst. It's just so angsty. I love it. I can't, it's just iconic Linkin Park. Anyway, start to finish, Meteora is perfect. This album is phenomenal. All right. Anyway, there you go. Linkin Park's 7 albums ranked from worst to best in my humble opinion. And that's it. Thanks for watching, guys.